Hello and welcome to Start Select, the video game show from GameSpot UK that's soon to get its very own special edition Xbox 360 bundle. This week we go hands-on with both Motorstorm Arctic Edge on the PlayStation Portable and Borderlands on the home consoles, as well as interviewing the man, the legend, Peter Molyneux about Fable 3. We've also got a competition to give away Section 8 on the PC and 360, as well as announcing our winners of the GameSpot Magic 8 Ball from the last show. But enough of my prattling, let's crack on with the show.
From the outset, you get the sense that Borderlands is a very special experience. Gearbox's role-playing shooter takes place on a hostile world called Pandora, at the edge of the galaxy. You play as one of 4 character classes called Vault Hunters, each with 50 character levels to achieve in the game, and there are a reported 30 quests and 140 side quests to fulfill, which you can do either single-handedly or with up to 3 friends thanks to the 4-player cooperative mode. We recently got a chance to get hands-on with the game and explore the barren wastelands of Borderlands, so here's what we thought. The lush cel-shaded graphics really sets Borderlands visuals apart, but perhaps the most interesting feature in Borderlands, which anyone who's followed our coverage will be well aware of, is its random weapon generator. This mechanism means that whenever you acquire a new weapon, it'll be made up of a combination of hundreds of physical and performance attributes. For instance, one shotgun we found shoots slugs that bounce along the ground like a wave. Other projectile weapons, however, might actually add a health bonus to friendly fire or shoot multiple bullets, incendiary bullets, or even mini grenades. From what we know of the story, Pandora was a hostile mining planet that has since been abandoned by respectable folk and left in the hands of bandits and the equally hostile wildlife. As one of 4 Vault Hunters, you arrive on Pandora seeking the Vault, a mysterious repository of advanced alien technology that will give the finder untold power. We needed to choose a character class before we could proceed, which includes Brick the Tank, Mordecai the Hunter, Lilith the Spellcaster, and Roland the Soldier. We've seen other classes before, so we opted to go for the lithesome Lilith this time around. Spellcasters, known as sirens in the game, tend to acquire weapons that feature incendiary, shock, or corrosive damage, and excel at deception and stealth. Each class has a special ability, and sirens have the ability to shift in and out of their dimension, essentially cloaking themselves for a few moments. Known as phase walking, it gives you a short speed boost and the ability to perform powerful melee attacks and cause damage to nearby enemies when shifting in and out of the dimension. As special abilities have a cooldown time, it's best to save these for when you really need it. While phase walk is the first special ability you'll acquire, it certainly won't be your last. There are 22 in total, spread across 3 skill upgrade paths: Controller, Elemental, and Assassin. Controller skills help you regenerate health or daze enemies. Elemental skills typically add elemental damage such as fire or corrosion. And Assassin skills might increase your melee or critical hit damage. There is a limited amount of points to be found throughout the game, and we're told by 2K that you're unlikely to be able to fulfill all 3 paths in any one campaign. So it's up to you which skills you want to spend those valuable points on. Borderlands has a wicked sense of humour, and there's some colourful characters such as the town's doctor, Dr. Z. He doesn't actually have a med school degree, but he'll keep you supplied with med packs nonetheless.
Thanks for opening her up again.
While the local fauna is vicious, there's some equally dangerous local gangsters too, such as Nine Toes, who we're informed actually has 3 testicles too, and his boss, Bonehead. Naturally, killing these outlaws will earn you valuable XP, new weapons, and also curry favour with the townsfolk. Borderlands has a rewarding loot system, and the spoils of war consist of cash, new weapons such as SMGs, pistols, rifles and grenades, as well as ammo for your equipped items. Loot is colour-coded according to its rank with 5 levels, and the more difficult a boss or mission is, the better the reward. You won't collect drop weapons from all enemies, but you are frequently rewarded with ones that are worth keeping. Bosses tend to drop the best weapons, so it's definitely worth grabbing these once the coast is clear. In later levels, you can equip 4 weapons at a time, but you start out with 2 available slots, with the other weapons packed away in your backpack. Borderlands' cel-shaded graphics look fantastic, and anyone who's enjoyed 13 or Prince of Persia will likely welcome this approach. Borderlands makes use of the Unreal Engine, and the characters, weapons and environment are detailed and have a vibrant colour palette. In addition to the sumptuous visual feast, Borderlands also features some really immersive music and sound effects. The arid environment around Firestone is complemented by a twangy country guitar theme which builds into a pumping tribal drum beat. If, like us, you're looking forward to Borderlands, then you'll be glad to know that the wait is almost over. The game will be shipping on October 23rd or October 20th in the US on the Xbox 360, PlayStation 3 and PC. Be sure to check back around then for our final verdict and check out all of our previous coverage to keep you occupied until launch.
We got the honour of meeting Peter Molyneux to talk more about Fable 3 recently, and Luke Anderson asked him all the big questions about the Fable universe, Microsoft and interesting moral dilemmas.
Okay, I'm now joined by industry legend Peter Molyneux. Thanks for joining us today, Peter. You had a pretty big announcement earlier in the week at Gamescom. Can you give us a little bit of a
Yeah, I mean, I got to stand on stage and people had to listen to me for 45 minutes talking about Fable 3 and the fact that we were making Fable 3, and I was talking about, some of the premises for Fable 3. We also talked about this new thing which is called episodic, is that we broke Fable 2 down into episodes and we're releasing that at the end of September. People can download the first episode absolutely free, and when they get to the end of that episode, while in game, they can just go, oh, okay, I'll have the next episode and pay points for it. So those were the two major announcements.
Sure. Why did you kind of come to that decision to decide you release it episodically? And I guess, do you think that's maybe a trend that other publishers might decide to do in the future?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, here's the thing: is that me as a creative person, I think it's really interesting to try and to give your content in more bite-sized chunks, and I find that very interesting. I mean, I think this is a change that's generally happening in the industry, as digital comes online. Gosh knows what the implications for the wider industry is. I just don't go there. I just don't think about it. I just think it's a nice thing to be able to do, for people, especially this idea of, hey, why not try the first 45 minutes of gameplay absolutely free, and then to be able to continue playing rather than go back to the start if you buy everything else. So it was, it's a creative thing that we can do, and it's always good to push innovation, and sure. Sometimes that innovation is in gameplay, sometimes the innovation is the way people get that big gameplay. Yeah.
Sure. One of the I guess the focuses in your keynote was about kind of touch in Fable 3, and you kind of talked about that quite a bit. Was that alluding to something with Project Natal, or was that?
It definitely wasn't an announcement that Natal is in any way in a Fable. That wasn't an announcement at that point. Sure. It was rather saying that. And here's the interesting point. I think it's my experiences as a designer with Natal. I want to bring you, the player, closer to the characters in the game. And a lot of the time we, as sort of when we're making games, there is this kind of barrier between you, what the character you play, and other characters in the world. And touch is an amazingly important thing. When you walked in the room, I shook your hand. And, it's that physical touch that's there, and we're using touch a huge amount in Fable 3.
Sure. And one of the other big features is judgments, isn't it? Can you tell us a little bit about how that came about?
Yeah, so here's the thing, is I think one of the big unique things about Fable 3 is that it doesn't follow the same formula that many games and films and books follow, which is basically, you start off as a sort of a low character and you build yourself up, and there's some baddie and you defeat the baddie, credits roll, end of experience, and that applies to games and films and books. What fascinates me is, why not continue allowing you to play, continue the story, continue the intrigue when you are the ruler of this place called Albion. When you become that ruler, that's when choices and consequences and decisions and being able to change things because you have power, it gets really interesting, and so we're flying through on that. Now, to do that, many people have asked me, well, does that mean it turns into some strategy game and you're pouring through spreadsheets or adjusting numbers? No, you still have all the abilities you have in the first part of the game. You're still, a heroic character, you're still able to fight, You're still able to lead, your armies, very personally. But we needed a new mechanic called judgments, and that judgment mechanic is you're a ruler, and people come before you, and they'll say, a great king or a great queen, we need your decision on this. And at any point during that process, you can say, right, I have decided the fate of this person is for them to be locked in the dungeon, or the fate of this person is they should be given vast amounts of gold. And you can do that at any time. You are completely free to use your touch mechanics that you have to be able to grab, this person who's kneeling before you by the collar and throw them off a balcony if you want, or grab them and take them down to your treasure rooms. And that emotional side of it is very important. And what judgments really allow is they allow you to get personally involved in any of the aspects of ruling. So if you want to go and visit somewhere, you use a judgment to do that.
Cool.
Yeah.
I love the idea how you can take your Fable 2 save games and kind of bring that into Fable 3.
Yes.
How does that affect the experience, and kind of, I guess, what's the trade-off with that, say, as opposed to someone who's basically playing Fable for the first time with Fable 3?
Yeah, if you're playing Fable for the first time, this feature you would just not be aware of. But if we detect a Fable 2 save game, Fable 2 achievements, we will import some aspects of what you were like in Fable 2. Expect there to be some carryover. You can choose not to import that, by the way, just in case you think, well, this time I'm going to be good rather than horribly evil. Yeah. But I think there is a fascination for me about this continuation of your story and moving on, and I think that's fascinating.
Okay, brilliant. Well, we better leave it there, but thanks a lot for your time, and Fable 3 is coming out 2010, is that right?
2010, yeah, that narrows it down to at least a year.
Okay, brilliant. Well, there you go. Thanks a lot for your time.
Time to give away some prizes now. Last time on Start Select, we had 5 of these limited edition GameSpot Magic 8 balls to give away, and all you had to do to win one was answer this question. On what date was GameSpot UK relaunched in the UK? The answer was way back in April 24th, 2006, and our winners are Ryan Martin from Gillingham, Alistair Millen from Cambridge, Angus Ord from Teddington, Will Brooks from Woking, and Robbie Paul from Fife. Congratulations, we'll get these limited edition prizes out to you straight away. This week, we've got 5 copies of South Peak's new first-person shooter to give away called Section 8. You can check out the full review on GameSpot right now and then win copies of the game on either the 360 or the PC. Just tell us which you'd like in your entry. All you need to do to be in with a chance of winning is answer this question. What is the name of the planet that features in Section 8? If you think you know the answer, then email it to competitions@gamespot.co.uk before the 30th of September and we'll draw the winners on the next show. And remember, very importantly, we need your name and address so we can send out your prizes.
Cold, miserable and filled with polar bears. These are just 3 things you could say to describe the Arctic Circle. However, developer Big Big Studios decided to liven up the Arctic Circle with its own brand of arcade racing in the form of Motorstorm Arctic Edge. It brings with it snowmobiles, huge snowplows and a fantastic soundtrack. We dusted off our PSP and fired up a finished build of the game to see if the Arctic setting is more than just a layer of snow. Arctic Edge features 12 tracks complete with vast jumps, multiple paths and sheer drops. Basically all the hallmarks of the Motorstorm series. They range from completely ice-covered tracks such as Anguta Glacier to one of our favourite tracks, Gold Rush, which eschews snow in favour of rough dirt roads. Each of the tracks is also available to play in reverse, which effectively gives you 24 areas for racing. The game features 24 vehicles, but only 3 of these are available at the start of the game. The initial options are the Jester BBXS buggy, the Atlas Journeyman dump truck and the ever-dependable Wasabi Katana dirt bike. New to the game are some snow-specific vehicles, including snowmobiles and a snowplow, which are great for navigating some of the ice and snow-covered tracks. We drove our way through several tracks in festival mode, which consists of 8 different ranks to complete. Each rank contains several races, and completing one rank will open up the next set of races. The handling in the game is similar to its PS3 cousins, meaning it's extremely manic. Though there are only 8 vehicles on screen at a time, compared to the PS3 version's 16, the racing still feels hectic as rival racers do as much as possible to nudge you off the track into a wall or off a cliff. The tracks themselves are beautifully designed and offer multiple paths and shortcuts to get one up on your opponents. The The Gold Rush track in particular has several paths to choose from, with some great narrow railroad tracks that favour smaller vehicles. The game looks great on PSP, and the snow, ice and dirt really show off what the PSP hardware can do. We particularly like the consistent frame rate, which lends a real sense of speed to the races, even without the fancy blur effects of the PS3 version. Also worthy of mention is the soundtrack, which includes such bands as Radiohead, Queens of the Stone Age and Pendulum. The game is due out on September 18th, so check out GameSpot for our full hands-on.
That's all for this episode of Start Select, but remember, you can subscribe to us in iTunes, follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/GameSpotUK, and get in touch with us at startselect@gamespot.co.uk on the email. We'll see you again next time on Start Select.